The biggest thing that this workforce plan ignores, white collar layoffs. You know, I took notes. Let's talk about it. If you missed the earlier episodes in this series, go and watch those first and then come back to this video because we are going to talk about the biggest blind spot in America's talent strategy, which is the Trump administration's new workforce plan that they plan to implement or are implementing rather very soon, and that's white collar workers. I have no issues with rebuilding trades and manufacturing. I'm actually a strong advocate for it. But white collar work is being reshaped drastically. The plan almost assumes that white collar workers are fine. Most of the document focuses on blue collar industries, skilled trades, semiconductors, shipbuilding, nuclear energy, and technical training. White collar workers mostly appear as the people expected to use the AI career tools, not as workers who may need the help themselves. The reality is, white collar jobs has been changing drastically. For example, junior white collar jobs are disappearing, and this is a huge deal because for decades, people climbed the career ladder through entry level jobs. Junior analysts, assistant editors, paralegals, entry level developers, marketing coordinators. Those jobs trained future senior workers. But now, of course, those companies are attempting to use AI to do a lot of the repetitive work that entry level employees used to handle. So instead of hiring 10 junior workers, companies may hire 2 experienced workers who know their way around AI tools. And that's going to create a pipeline problem. Stop training beginners now. Where do the experienced professionals come from later? This plan barely addresses that issue. The second problem is skills becoming outdated faster than ever. For years, white collar workers were told the more experience you gain, the more valuable you become. But AI is changing the value of certain skills. Tasks involving research, document review, summarizing information, pattern recognition, that can all be done by AI systems. Now, it doesn't make experienced workers useless, but it does shift what employers value. Workers who survive long term will likely be the ones that are strongest in judgment, leadership, communication, creative thinking, ethics, and relationship building. And right now, there's very little federal infrastructure helping white collar workers transition into higher level skills. And then we can't forget about remote work because during the pandemic, remote jobs opened opportunities for people living outside of major cities. So someone in a smaller town could suddenly work for a company in New York, Austin, or Seattle without moving. But now, two things are happening at once. Companies are pushing workers back into the offices, and AI tools are making it easier for companies to offshore white collar work globally. It puts the smaller American cities in a position to lose those opportunities from both directions at the same time. So, another issue in the plan, middle management jobs shrinking, not addressed. AI project management and automation are flattening company structures. That means fewer management positions, fewer lead roles, fewer career ladder steps. So imagine someone who spent 15 years climbing towards senior management only to realize those positions are being reduced before they ever reach them. And many of those workers are in their late 30s, 40s, and 50s with mortgages, kids, and major financial responsibilities. This new workforce system, it's not really built for that. Most white collar workers have never even used workforce programs before. They don't know what WIOA is. They've never visited an American Job Center. They've never applied to retraining grants. And this plan does not create a strong on ramp for them. There's also an entire group of professionals that feel almost invisible in the document: teachers, social workers, healthcare support workers, childcare workers, nonprofit employees, artists, humanities graduates, even government workers. The plan talks about workforce systems constantly, but it rarely talks about people that hold those systems together. For example, the document pushes towards career and technical education expansion, but it barely addresses teacher shortages needed to teach those programs. It talks about reconnecting disconnected workers, but says almost nothing about investing in social workers who help stabilize those populations. It acknowledges that childcare is a workforce barrier, but then offers almost no major investment into childcare workers themselves. And healthcare, which is the largest employment sector in America, is barely centered in the plan compared to AI, manufacturing, and industrial policy. So, ideally, what I would like to see for a future focused white collar workforce strategy is probably things like real time tracking of AI job displacement and mid career transition fellowships, advanced human AI collaboration training, reskilling support for experienced professionals, maybe even debt relief for workers forced to change careers later in life. The uncomfortable reality is America's talent strategy is heavily preparing workers for the industrial expansion, while white collar work is being transformed at a speed most white collar systems are nowhere near prepared for. Follow for part 5 because we're going to talk about potential employment law violations that could arise because these workforce changes could impact workers differently depending on race, age, disability, education level, language access, gender, and profession.